This is the Death Scouter trying to make another video to help you guys save some more money, and this time we are going to be replacing the radiator on a 2003 Jeep Liberty 3.7 liter. And as you can see, I've got a leak. You can obviously smell it, and when you come in here and you look down the side of your radiator, you can see all the dried spills previously. So it's pretty clear that what I don't have is a leaky hose or a water pump. What I do have is a radiator that leaks. Now the problem is, looking through the manual, this may be one of these repairs that you don't feel like messing with yourself. Couple of things we need to do. First, we'll be draining all the coolant out of the vehicle, and I'll do that by disconnecting the bottom hose and letting it drain there. And then most Jeeps have this electric fan hooked to the back of the radiator. Some of them are not electric, meaning they are either tied directly to the engine, it's called mechanical fans, or they may even be hydraulic. This is clearly electrical. There's the wires coming off. Here's the wiring harness right there. Manual says that the radiator and the fan assembly will come off as one unit. You just need to disconnect this wire connection here. So we'll push down on the tab in the back, separate that. Also had a little red clip right in that slot there. I pulled that out earlier, but just push down on this tab, and then you can separate the wire connectors. So we're golden there. Now here's where the thing starts to look messy. This rail going all the way across the front of the car, it's the rail that has your stickers on it showing you how your belt's routed. That needs to come out. And in this model, they say later model, so I guess this is a later model. We'll take off 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and I believe those are Torx 15s. We'll fold down the front grill and disconnect the grill. There's latches across the bottom, so once we unscrew the top, we'll fold it forward and disconnect that. Now here's where it starts to become a repair that you might not want to bother with. These two the bracket holding the hood latch is riveted to this top piece. Those rivets need to be drilled out. And according to the manual, and I haven't seen this yet, and to tell you the truth, I'm probably going to attempt this repair without doing what the manual says, is that this bumper skirt needs to be disconnected, taken off, which means putting the car up on ramps, taking off the front wheels, and getting underneath there and drilling out rivets that hold this bumper skirt all the way around. I'm going to avoid that like the plague, because that just sounds like more trouble than it's worth. What I am going to do, though, I will drill these out, because there's no way you can do this repair with this top piece still in place. So this has to come off. Once again, it's a Jeep, so everything is usually a 7, 10, or 13 millimeter. These are definitely 7 millimeters. So we'll be taking 1, 2, 3, and 4 7 millimeter nuts off. We're hooked, riveted here to this cap that goes over the windshield washer fluid fill. I'll try to fit that over the top so I don't have to destroy that rivet. I will drill these out and get this bracket off. The grill looks like it's a pretty easy removal, so that's going to come off as well. And then hopefully, it is telling me that this little transmission cooler here, with the 2 lines coming off, and those 2 bolts there, which of course will obviously be easier to get to once the grill is gone. Manual says all these things need to come off in order to get to the brackets that actually hold in the radiator. And you know, logic says if they wrote it in the book, it must be true. I just find it hard to believe that I got to disassemble so much of the damn car, especially when rivets are involved. and then pry off the skirt and strip this thing down just to get to some something that's holding the radiator in place. So I am going to drop the camera, because a lot of the times I can't do, you know, if you've seen any of my videos, I really do my best to show you what's going on, but the camera does get kind of jerky and does swing all over the place because I am looking at a LCD window about the size of a postage stamp while trying to handle the tools, and that's not always the best recipe for a smooth and informative video. So I'm going to take off the pieces that I just told you about here, drill this out, because even if I decide not to go through with the repair, I can get back underneath here. I can put some screws in place to put that all back together. So this is like a zero pain proposition. But I'm going to try to locate all the brackets with the camera off, and then I'll come back and let you know how well I did on this repair. Maybe even pick it up halfway through with video. Okay guys, this is Death Scouter. Just want to let you know that this is going to be a doable project without playing with all kind of rivets and things. A couple of things that I do want to point out. Yes, the piece across the top has to come. Yes, the grill face has to come out. And let me just show you real quick. These are the hooks on the bottom of your grill. So if this is your grill, God, I wish I could had a better. If you just lean this forward as you lift up the bottom, these hooks will come right out of where they sit, right down in these grooves here. So that's golden. The other thing you want to do, here's some, I don't know what they call them. I guess maybe they're called rivets, but they're, well, they're the same as rivets. You want to take the top one out, and you can just pry it with a screwdriver. And then what I did, the secret that I used was, once you had the end out, take your channel locks, put your channel lock behind it, and then roll it and pry it out and come straight out. You only need to do that for the top driver side, and again over here, top passenger side. Then you can pull this back and get into that one screw at the top, one screw there. You do need to take off this transmission cooler, and then the screw holding, actually I think this is the transmission cooler. Well, either way, whatever this front radiator is, I'm sure it has a name. Right now it escapes me. Take off the screw for that on both sides. Take out the two here that you can see from the front, and then these two in the back, and you'll have to lift this up and get it off of this hook here. See how that fits in there like that? That tab sits down and fits in that. So you have to lift up on it and just pull it out, and that separates this front radiator from what is the real radiator. And now look how loose that is, and I'm sure that's going to come out. So what I've done now is, now that I know that I can commit to doing the repair, I've pulled the hoses on the top, yanked the hose off the bottom, and I'm draining my fluid down. Of course, I'm trying to capture it because we don't want to destroy the environment. And then the last things we're going to do is, there are two fittings here in the back. I believe they're probably AC lines. We'll unscrew those, and once those are out, we'll be able to lift the fan and the radiator housing at once, and then move the fan over to the new radiator. So here's what the new radiator looks like from the back. This is passenger side. So this is one of the fittings we have to get out, and then this is one of the fittings we have to get out, and then everything else should just go back together as normal in reverse order. And if that's what we think is going to happen, that's how we're going to go forward. So let me, at this time, shut the camera back off and get going with these repairs, because I'm running out of daylight, and then try to get this finished. Okay, so radiator reassembly is done. I just wanted to point out that I put the radiator back in first, and then this front radiator, I kept calling it the front radiator, but the reality is these are the coolant lines. If you trace them back, it's not very hard to see. It comes back to your air conditioning compressor if you have air conditioning. So these by no means can you disconnect these hoses. These are under pressure. You don't want to do that and let all your coolant out, and the fact that it's a pressurized line. So this is just an obstacle that you have to work around. And once you disconnect all the bolts that I showed you, the hoses, bottom hose, top hose, overflow hose, this whole unit, radiator and cooling fan, will come out. It does take a little bit of maneuvering, but it works. Just make sure you don't break anything as you pull it out. My Italian temper got the best of me, and I started jerking on this thing, and I broke a wiring harness that you can see there is a interesting solution to hold everything in place until I can replace the wiring plug that I need to obviously replace. But it does go back together. As stated. Just put everything back together in reverse order. The only other thing I'm going to point out is on an aftermarket radiator, these screws that allow you to reassemble and put the fan housing back on. The radiator came with a bag of nuts, and you had to slip the nut. There you go. Thank you, neighbor. You had to slip the nut into the plastic before you put the radiator back in, or else when you go to put these screws in, they don't bite onto anything. And I didn't think about that, but I learned that the hard way. And if you've made that mistake and you're watching this video, the way that I put the nuts in place after this was already back in was I had one of those small magnetic tip, I guess like drop screw retriever wands, a wand with a magnet on the end. So I was able to position the nut in place and then shove the nut in to where it needed to be with a screwdriver. So putting your nuts in place before you try to reassemble it will save you all that headache. But other than that, this assembly went back together real well. Did not have to follow the instructions in the manual. And the radiator, once the hoses are reconnected and tightened back down, I filled everything off there with a 1.5 gallons of antifreeze, actually 1.75 gallons, and we're good. Fired it all back up, and left the cap off as I filled up and started the engine, let some of it cycle through, and as it siphoned down, I continued to top it off. So a successful repair, much cheaper than going to the dealership, and these are the only rivets we had to worry about, and even with the rivets out, this remains a pretty sturdy build, so you don't have to worry about throwing screws or rivets back in there unless you're really interested in doing that. So we'll chalk this one up as a completion, and hopefully this helps you guys save some money.